talked about Will's ex, Courtney. The season had just wrapped up. She had announced that she was dating this new guy. And not long after they had started dating, she revealed that she was pregnant. And when they first started dating, she was posting on Instagram a lot. It seemed like every week at first she was posting different date nights that were going on. Like they were going to the pumpkin patch. They went to like this little rave concert. They were going out to eat. They were doing all the things. And then suddenly she quit posting on social media for months. So I'm like, okay, maybe the baby's here, or maybe the baby's about to be here. So she's doing whatever she can to prepare for the baby and just focusing on that. According to one insider, she claims that is not the case. So this girl named Bailey, she posted in the Love After Lockup Facebook group, and she said, I have hella tea on Courtney from season 6 if anyone is interested. She's 8 months pregnant on meth, and her baby dad is in prison. And that makes sense why she hasn't posted the man in so many months, and that may make sense why she hasn't posted herself in so many months if this is true. So she went on to say, I've been itching to talk to someone about this, and they have me effed up. So I don't feel bad at all. So her baby dad is my ex's best friend. His name is CJ, and he is a horrible person. He was initially dating this girl, and he was living with her and her stripper roommate. He slowly started to get back to that lifestyle, and he got this poor girl hooked on drugs. Bad. He's foul as F. I remember my ex told me we went to get gas and 2 tweaker girls asked him to F, and he did, and he went home afterwards. This was in 2021, and it still haunts me. Men are foul. Anyways, the girl ends up getting help and leaving, and he stays and starts dating the girl's roommate, stripper friend, effed up. He gets her on drugs, and eventually he gets her raided and arrested and goes to prison. The second girlfriend unalived herself because he got locked up, only for him to get released 2 years later and get out and get right with the Courtney girl. This is him and the first girl that he was dating until they broke up, and then he ended up getting with her roommate who was a stripper, and then he went to prison. And this is the second girlfriend pictured here, who unfortunately ended up taking her life. Rest in peace to Jasmine. She passed away in March of 2024. Then he went to prison, and after he got out of prison, he immediately got with Courtney, like she said. So whole time when he got with Courtney, he was only on pre-trial release. I don't know if that's something that he was upfront with Courtney about, but he wasn't meant to stay out long term. So he ends up getting out for a little bit, gets her pregnant. They had a baby shower knowing that he was going to go to prison in a week, and he caught her with meth in her purse right before the baby shower. So he's now locked up, and he gave this girl who's making this post, he gave her ex all his money to keep her taken care of because he's scared that she's going to use it to buy meth while she's 8 months pregnant. And I also have a feeling that he's probably scared, just like we saw Will and her, and she was always going with all these sugar daddies getting money, and she was always like, if you don't give me money, somebody else will. And that's another thing. I think he probably wants to make sure that she always has money so she doesn't go running back to her sugar daddies, even though I bet she probably already has now that he's back in prison. He had him make her a prenatal massage appointment and was supposed to call and pay when she got there, but she never showed up, and she just called my ex over and over, begging to send the cash instead. So insane, poor baby. And I actually spoke with this girl, and she said she has never seen the show before. So I believe everything she's saying, because this sounds exactly like the Courtney that we watched on our TV. He's always begging somebody for money, and maybe that explains why she always had to have some money if she had some other issues going on, if what this girl is saying is true. I ended up reaching out to this girl and asked her if she wants to come up on my platform. She's welcome to, but like I said, she said she hasn't seen the show. I asked her if she knew with Courtney still had sugar daddies or if her boyfriend ever said anything about that. She didn't know anything about that, but she did share his criminal history with me. So he has been arrested for unlawful possession of a controlled substance, manufacturing of cocaine, felon in possession of a firearm, 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 and identity theft. So with all those charges, I'm sure he's definitely going to get some time in prison, especially with him being on pretrial release. Like, he's probably going to get him a good 5+ years off all those charges. He didn't get all these charges right before he got locked up. He just got a few, but with his criminal history, having all these charges in his criminal history, it's definitely not going to help him when he does finally get sentenced. And I think I have an idea on why Courtney likes this man so much. Not only do they have similar lifestyles, but this man has a lot of money. So I was doing some research, and in 2018, this man got a $251,000 settlement after there was a case of him being bit by a police dog while in jail. And now that explains how he's still able to afford to bankroll Courtney even while he's still locked up. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw them together and he was taking her on all these dates, I'm like, oh man, he must have him a good job and have his shit together. No, the man just has a nice settlement from years ago. So according to Oregon Live, it says that the Columbia County District Attorney says criminal charges won't be filed in connection with a deputy who sent a patrol dog into a county jail last summer, and this was an article from 2018. So this actually happened in 2017, it sounds like, to bite an inmate who wasn't complying with staff's orders. So it says that this deputy, who was the canine handler, and other deputies used a reasonable amount of force against Christopher Bartlett on August 1st. There's body cam footage of this on YouTube, and you can also find it on OregonLive.com. I'm not going to show it for this video because the video did get age restricted because it is pretty graphic, the dog attacking him. But at the time, Courtney's boyfriend was 47, so he's probably close to 50 now. Or no, this was back in 2018, so he's over 50 now. So he was bitten on the arm by a dog because he wouldn't follow deputies' instructions when they were trying to move him from a temporary holding cell in one jail block to another cell in a high security unit. So he was being uncooperative, and he was warned ahead of time, if you do not listen to instructions, then this could lead to you being bit by the patrol dog. And I guess he had a history of attacking and threatening law enforcement officers. The officers said they felt like they couldn't use any other measures because they felt like it would have endangered other people who were just innocent bystanders. So they decided to unleash the dog on him, and the dog attacked his arm. And so they say that Christopher wouldn't meet with Oxier to discuss the case after this happened, so the sheriff's office determined that the use of force was justified, but asked the district attorney's office to review the case in December after body cam footage of this officer jumping onto Chris and wrenching his arm was released. So Chris wasn't seriously injured from the dog bite, but he was moved to another jail cell and he was released from jail the next day. And he has been booked into the Columbia County Jail. This is back in 2018, 43 times since 2001 as of December, mostly for probation violations. The prosecutor said that Chris should have never been booked into a temporary holding cell to begin with because the jail staff was aware of his history. The day before he was bitten, he had been booked on suspicion of contempt of court, and according to the memo, Chris was causing a disruption, and he refused to put his hands through a cell door port to be handcuffed over the course of nearly 6 hours before one of the officers was allowed into the cell, and deputies ordered Chris to do so at least once every 45 minutes to put his hands through the cell. And at some point, Chris began throwing items around the cell, and other inmates in the unit were taking their shirts off in protest of the irritating situation that they're having to endure all day. So the body cam footage shows that They ordered a dog into Chris's cell, and the dog jumps onto Chris and bites his left arm just above his elbow as Chris is on the ground. And then he yells at Chris to stop. One of the officers yelled at Chris to stop resisting as the dog is biting into his arm. And then the officer then moves the dog off Chris as other deputies hold Chris down and handcuff him. The deputies then brought Chris to an outdoor recreation area where the nurses checked him, and his shirt and pants were cut away while he was being checked for injuries. And at one point, Chris told the deputies and nurses that he believed that his arm was broken. He was begging and crying out for help. He was cursing at the deputies and told all of them that they're going to go to hell. So the deputies put a hood on his head to prevent him from spitting on them. The dog that attacked Chris had been on the force since 2015, and he has done over, let me see how many, I think it said it out, over a half a dozen times they had utilized this dog, but the dog had never been told to attack anyone in the past. He was just usually tracking for narcotics or tracking for people. They said over the half dozen times they had utilized this dog, when this dog had attacked Chris, this was the only time that he was told and had attacked an inmate. So at the time, the officers and everybody who looked into this believed that there was no excessive force used. And they explained that they felt like they need to use the dog because they said that they use a stun gun that can cause shocked inmates to fall and injure themselves. And they say pepper spray could get into the jail's ventilation system, and deputies could also be injured while going into a cell to subdue an inmate. So they felt like their best course of measure at that time was to utilize the dog. At the time, they didn't believe any excessive force was done, but after investigation was done, they decided to take this to court, and Columbia County ended up settling a suit for $251,000. I mean, I'm sure after dating Courtney, and since that was 2018 that he got all this money, I'm sure a big chunk of that money's gone now, but I mean, I'm sure he still has a decent amount left. I mean, that's a good chunk of money. But you guys let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. I mean, if this is true, and if Courtney's using at 8 months pregnant, that baby's probably going to be taken away once it's born. But you guys let me know what you think about everything in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.